What is new, my Mystic crew? So here we have round 4 of locals. We are against Matt Black here, who is an ex-pro player. We go first and we open up with Branded Fusion, sending Gazelle and Fallen of Valbaz in order to make Rebrand, which searches the Kotal. Kotal discard, searching the Mirror Sword Knight. Matt did say he's not overly familiar with the branded package, so I'm just explaining everything as we go. I attribute the Mirror Sword Knight to spec Baphomet, and then once the Baphomet hits the field, he will activate to add the Chimera Fusion and a level 4 beast. So there's the Chimera Fusion and there's Brigand's Kit. I then go ahead, or I should now go ahead and spec Brigand's Kit. Yep. So here we go. So we spec Kit to the field, which will now add a branded spell or trap from deck, grave, or banish pile. But then I have to return a card to the bottom of the deck. I grabbed Branded Opening. Branded in white would have been better because then I could have ended on a Mirror Jade as well. So I'm not really sure what I was thinking there, grabbing the Branded Opening. I was most probably more thinking follow-up than anything else. But there's the Chimera Fusion anyway, fusing the Kit and the Baphomet off into the Chimera. Baphomet Train Link 1 and Chimera Train Link 2. This specs back the Mirror Sword Knight, then rips a card out of his hand during the end phase. And then I activate Chimera Fusion, adding it back to hand, and then I set 3 and pass. And we hit the, I believe that's Gen. It's either Gen or Ken. Either way, it's a good hit because it means that his normal summon's gone. And we're starting off with a Danger Bigfoot, 1 to 5. We hit the 4, which was Mothman. So Bigfoot specs, draws the card, and then Mothman activates. So we both draw a card, then discard a card. I go ahead and discard the Baphomet. He discards of a Grapher. So we're just explaining what interaction I've got in the field. So I've got the Rebrand, which is a extra deck negate / bounce. We have the Mirror Sword Knight, which is a monster negate as long as he controls it on the field. And then I've got Kotal in the grave, which is if he targets any of my cards, I can banish it to protect, but only while I've got the Chimera Fusion on the field. So he activates it to pop, activate the Kotal to banish to protect. He then triple attacks to draw 2. Then he activates the Allure of Darkness, banishing 1 dark, then activates card destruction. I was thinking here of shotgunning the Chimera Fusion into Guardian Chimera, but I thought, you know what? No, let's just roll with it. So I draw my 2 new cards. He activates all 4 of his cards, one of which pop in one of my back rows. So I go ahead and activate, fusing off into the Baphomet Fusion. So we've got add, we've got searching, we've got all sorts going on over here. And then in the new chain here, my Baphomet will Foolish Burial a beast, fiend, or illusion monster. Just a little bit deck thinning because why not? I'll send the Kotal. And just explaining that when he's in the grave, I can banish him to spec back one of my banished fiend, beasts, or illusions. And he also takes on the Chimera name while he's on the field. So, yeah, so we're now back up to date, and he activates his Quick Play Fusion spell. So here comes the big dude. The big one gives the effect of any monster, spell, or trap I activate at any point. He can change it once per turn to your opponent discards a card, so then he discards a card. When he goes ahead and activates the spell card, where he can discard of a fiend-type monster, and the monsters on his side of the field gain that much attack times 100, depending on level. So he specs Silver back, Silver powering them all up by 500, because Silver's level 5. He then tributes bounces Silver to spec Rainbow, bounces Rainbow to spec Grapher, and yeah, he's doing all sorts of plays. And I'll be honest with you, you're about to see just a mad turn one, because bear in mind as well, I've also done a monster, a negate as well. There goes the Mirror Sword Knight to negate the dark Charmer, to stop him from taking the dark. No, sorry. So what happened was I activated Riberan in response to the Dark. He activated the Fusion Monster in response to Riberan. I activated Mirror Sword Knight in response to the Fusion. So the Fusion got negated. Riberan was then able to negate Dark and bounce the Fusion. So that's how we got that off the field. So Riberan's now used his effect. We've used Kotal and we've used Mirror Sword Knight. We've also used our set Chimera Fusion. And Matt is still cooking. He is still just going. And as you can see, he just doesn't stop. And that is pretty much game one here. He just keeps going and going and going. And it just does not matter how much I throw at him. He's just able to stop it all. He goes for the salute. Saruj Dragon, or however it's pronounced. I dropped the imperm on him at that stage because I kind of had to. But now that his monsters are all bouncing each other again to spec the bigger ones, he's having a quick flick through my grave. So all I've got left in there is the Chimera banished to spec one back, which I now activate because he targets it for one of his monsters. I can't remember exactly what he targeted with, but I trained it to get it out of the way. Specking back the Birthmut, and the Birthmut trigger, grabbing the Chimera Fusion and the Gazelle. So, yeah, I feel like we're doing okay. You've got to bear in mind, this was round 4. It's been a long day. I have not had an easy day of opponents, and they get paired up against Matt Black. Just absolute top player. So here he activates Nightmare Phoenix. I spec the Aluba by activating the face down card he targets. Aluba activates on summon to grab the Branded Fusion. Nessie hits the field and then he draws a card. And I've got 2 more bodies on board now just to defend my life points with a little bit. But yeah, Dracolope was the one who got sent, so he expected another Nessie off the Dracolope. He goes into a link 3, so here's the Unicorn. Unicorn effect, discard the card. We're going over the Riberan and how it works, about if it's in the grave, and the Birthmut, just so you can have all the information of what he wants to target to send back to the deck. And he chooses the Riberan, which, yeah, I don't blame him. Why get a Fallen of Outbounds back on the field if you don't have to deal with one? So there we roll the dice again for another Danger Monster. This time it hits. Silver got discarded, so Silver specs back. Silver bounces back for the Grapher or the Rainbow. Honestly, I can't remember at this point. And I think we move to battle here. No, not yet. So we get the Mudwrecker, or whatever that thing's called. I think it specs back a Fiend. And then Silver comes back again. Silver bounces itself for the Grapher. And yeah, it's really not looking good for us, because now here's Nightmare Cerberus, which does a whole thing about my special summoned monsters. Or yeah, like I said, this was through Monster Negate and Imperm. 2 months, sorry, so what's that? 3 Monster Negates. I've bounced around 3 or 4 of his cards by activating stuff like the Imperm, the Chimera Fusion, the Riberan effect. So that's 4 Monster Negates, a bounce, and I've played around a bunch of his cards, and he's still set up this sort of field. But Dark World is just too strong. I don't care. If you get the right pilot on Dark World, it's going to run over you. And that's exactly what happens here, because look at that board. Just look at it. And this is through interruption. This wasn't just a wham bam board. This was purely through interruption. So he swings into that. I take some damage. He kills both of my defences. He swings. I activate the Berthamut. He chains the fusion monster, and that is game 1. So I'll be back with you in just a moment for game 2. Okay, so we are now back in game 2. So we have sided, we have shuffled, we have cut, we are good to go. We're just having a little chat as well as we go, because Yu-Gi-Oh is about being social. So I'll start us off with Mirror Sword Knight. Activate the Mirror Sword Knight tribute and for cost 2 spec the Berthamut. Berthamut goes ahead and grabs the Gazelle and the Chimera Fusion. Go ahead and activate the Chimera Fusion, fusing the Berthamut and the Gazelle straight into the Chimera, and we have our Chainlink 1 Gazelle, Chainlink 2 Berthamut, Chainlink 3 Chimera. So I get to rip a card, spec an illusion back from the grave, and then add an illusion from deck as well. So here we go, we're going to grab the Cornfield Kotal, more than likely, yep, there we go, and we're going to spec back the Mirror Sword Knight. So now we activate the Cornfield Kotal, get that out into rotation, to go ahead and grab a Mirror Sword Knight, because why have one when you can have 2? From here, just having a little think, activate the Chimera Fusion, adding it back, and then I'll go ahead and activate it straight away. And then from here, I fuse the Cornfield Kotal and the other Berthamut in hand into the Berthamut Fusion, which now Foolish Burials as a monster. So I go ahead and Foolish Burial the End of Anubis, which was sided in. So with End of Anubis on the field, the graveyards are shut off. So I activate the second Chimera Fusion in hand, because I had 2. And we go into the Big Illusion monster, which is 3100 attack. Can attack monsters to the number of materials used. And when it battles with a monster, whether it attacks or is attacked at the end of damage calc, it negates that monster's effect and drop its attack to 0 permanently. So, very nice monster to have. Here we set one and we rip the card from hand. This time being the Thing of the Dark thing. And then we go ahead and activate Chimera, affecting Grave during his standby phase to banish to spec out the End of Anubis. Here we have Danger Mothman coming out, and we hit another thing which gets him the gates. I can't remember what it's called, but it gets him gates. And he had a third one, so not the end of the world. He still manages to get his gates, but at least we managed to rip 2 cards out of hand there between the Chimera and the Mothman going off. So you can now banish 1. So here we go. So he's having to think about it, because obviously, the graveyard is shut off. The Dark World need the graveyard. So I have applied that pressure there with the End of Anubis, but he does have 2 level 4s, so what else do we do? But of course, go into Babushka. And it is a continuous effect, which unfortunately Babushka does not negate. So it's our turn here. I'm having a little think about what I can do to get around it, because I don't play Link monsters, so I am kind of stuck. So I'll just set a card and pass turn there. And then on his turn, he goes ahead and he's not sure if he wants to put Babushka in defense or leave him in defense, switch into attack. So again, I'll go ahead and explain the Cornfield Kotal and the Mirror Sword Knight and what they all do. Because at the end of the day, you always give your opponent all the information, because why would you not? So here he goes ahead and switches Babushka to attack mode. I flip over the Chimera fusion. I'm just giving my Guardian Chimera a read here, and then we fuse 2 from field, 1 in hand. So I can pop 2 cards on the field and draw a card. So I pop the Babushka and his gates, and I felt like I had to do it at that stage to try and keep the end of Anubis as safe as possible. But here he just goes ahead, fuses off into his monster, swings into the end of Anubis, and now his graveyard is live. So he's doing the Dark World thing, Silver Bounce for Grapher. He sets a card. I go ahead and activate the Birthmark Fusion to spec a Beast Fiend or Illusion monster that is banished currently back to my side field. He goes to turn it into, so my opponent discards a card, but I flip over the Imperm, negating his monster and getting the special summon back. So now both my Mirror Sword Knight and Cornfield Kotal are alive. I also activate the effect of the effect of Chimera Fusion to add it back. Here I just swing into his fusion monster just to get that off the field. He's thinking about his face down. I'm not sure what he's got, but he's having a quick read. He goes ahead and activates it, which is the fusion spell yet again, to put another fusion monster in defense. However, I go ahead and swing, killing his fusion monster. So all he did there was save himself some life points and specs back the Grapher. I think we are still in the battle phase. I go ahead and fuse off the Kit and the Gazelle into Draco's Dispelia to get that, and then I go ahead and get the end of Anubis once again, and that's the end of game 2. So we'll be back shortly in game 3. Okay, so here we go for round 3, and this time Matt is starting us off with the rotor to get the Gen or the Ken. I go ahead and activate the Droll just to stop him from searching, and that causes him to pass. So I go ahead and spec Fenrir because I control no monsters, discard the Kotal, grab the Mirror Sword Knight's tribute to spec the Birthmark. We've seen this play time and time again, so I'm not really going to go over it here. But here we go. We get the Mirror Sword Knight back. We get that. We grab the Kotal. We grab the Chimera Fusion. This time we've got Branded Fusion. Here we send off the Fallen of Albaz and I believe the White Stone. Yep, so there's the White Stone into the Albion. The Albion effect then banishes both of those to get the Dragoon out. And as you can see, we've got game. Matt did brick there, which really sucked. You don't want to end a great game like that on a brick, but it is what it is, and we took this game 2-1. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one.